Let's dive in.
Overreaction,
3-0 loss. Shane Bieber was a magician. He absolutely was. James Karinchak was a mess. Wow. And the bats were MIA. 4 hits. Brennan, Rosario, J-Ram, and Bell. And that was it.
And those last 2 came with 2
the
outs in the ninth.
In the ninth, and I thought, oh, here we go.
Right.
Here we go.
And then Bell grounded out
when Ramirez hit it, I thought, wow, it's a 1-run game.
By the way, Brennan,
Didn't work out
at first, you thought Brennan hit Castillo in the head.
I did. It hit him in the hair. It hit him in the hair.
But it's because he's got such thick hair, it fell. It went off his hair as if it hit his head.
It did. It did. It redirected the baseball.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was super disappointed on the missed call on the foul tip.
Yeah, let's
Unbelievable. That isn't reviewable.
We're going to get to it.
That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, it was in the game. We're talking about the game. That's one thing that I was really disappointed in. The umps flat missed that. And the fact that baseball doesn't allow that play to be reviewed, what the hell is that?
It's crazy.
Well, that leads us into our first overreaction perfectly, Jay. So I mentioned this on the call.
So no talk about the game. We're going right to overreaction?
We're talking about the game within the overreaction.
You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see.
Yeah.
So I think there's 162 games in baseball.
You're good.
And maybe most people shouldn't overreact to 1 9-inning game.
No one should.
I am.
Of course you are.
So let's go. Overreaction number 1 to the Guardian season. Major League Baseball's new rules and the umpires are already teaming up to ruin the Guardian season. It was a horseshit tip. It was a BS call. It should have been a strikeout.
That's a premise that it's Cleveland against the world.
Exactly. Which, as we proved the other day, it is.
But you hate that, you said. You hate that cliche.
That's the bit.
It doesn't. Anthony hated it.
Oh, it was his list.
That's the bit.
Well, he's the one that added that one to the list.
This is.
All right.
I mean,
you don't believe.
But that's nonsense.
You
think that Major League Baseball executives got together in a room and said, "All right, guys, how do we take the Guardians down?
No.
We got to break up this juggernaut."
The
Yes.
fact that you
stop it.
Obviously, that's silly. But the fact that you can't review a foul tip is beyond stupid.
Yeah.
Why that's not reviewable in baseball?
Bad job by baseball.
No idea.
Did you even know that wasn't reviewable? I did not.
I didn't.
A hit by pitch is reviewable.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I don't know. It's insane.
So are you saying that did that play cost him the game?
We have no idea.
See, here's the problem. It put a guy on base. It continued the meltdown from Karinchak.
It did.
He needed an out there as badly as a pitcher can need it out.
But
it was a full count.
Now, what we don't know is
what would have happened if he had pitched.
Right. I remember Al Pulowski on the postgame, and Al does a great job, but he said, well, it would have been 1 out. And I was
it would not have been.
It would not have been an out. It might have been an out.
Had Zanino held on to the ball, it would have been an out, but he didn't.
It might have turned out to be an out, but we don't know. The at-bat would have continued, so we don't know.
And we'll never know that answer.
But it's ridiculous.
Your question, the next hitter hit a 3-run home run.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
not the next hitter.
No, the next hitter flew out the center, lined out to center. The next guy hit a home run.
Didn't he hit somebody with a pitch too?
Yes.
He did.
So it was an out, then a hit by pitch, then the home run.
So he was already melting down. He should have been out of here. I would have.
No, that just began the meltdown.
I would have.
He went 0-2 on the hitter. Then he took the delay of game. Then he threw one 12 feet high.
He got to go after that.
Well, I was going to give him more leash than that. But I think after it was 2-1, and after he
hit Wong,
he's done. I'm sitting in my chair saying he is forked. Take him out. But Tito never does that.
Here's the thing. Do you want to mention this as your second overreaction?
Yeah, we're going to go to over. This was number 4 on the list, but we're going to go make it number 2. Jay, you were right. Karinchak is too jacked to be an effective pitcher right now. He's too big.
Yeah. Told you.
Too big.
He walked into that interview room with sleeves off, and my first thought was, this dude got too big in the offseason.
Here's been my problem with James Karinchak since they first got him. Obviously, he's got nasty stuff.
Right.
And when he's right, we saw it last year, right? 2 years ago, he sucked. The year before that, he was great. When he's right and his head is right, he's very good.
Tremendous.
But I can't trust him. You can't be undone by one automatic strike.
No, and
it happened to other guys yesterday. They didn't get undone by it. The next pitch, folks, if you were not watching it, the very next pitch, right over the catcher's head.
And what the worst part about it was, if it was a home game, he might pull out of that nosedive.
Yeah.
The crowd
went
went
bananas.
Ape shit.
Jay, I said on my podcast this morning, if you were just hearing the crowd, you would have thought it was a World Series home run.
It sounded like a football crowd.
I mean, it was insane.
By the way, Seattle's notorious for having great fans.
Guys, that is the consequence of having a pitch clock. Now,
love it. I love it.
Now you putting different things in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's adding pressure and adding
you know
energy.
what? Here's what I'm afraid of. It's gonna end guys' careers. I'm telling you, it will end guys' careers.
Pitchers
and
are
whatever. So be it.
You know what? Pitchers are used to controlling the environment.
The pitcher has always, for 125 years, controlled the tempo of the game, and that's no longer the case.
I love it. And let me tell you something. I feel bad for this guy because I think his career's over already.
That's an overreaction.
No, that's the reaction.
No, wait. I'm not talking about Karinchak.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, and I feel really bad. I'm not making a joke. Daniel Bard. Do you guys know who Daniel Bard is?
Yes.
So, for those who don't know, because probably most people don't know, Daniel Bard it was the closer for the Rockies last year.
Okay.
This guy came up 10 years ago, roughly, with the Red Sox, right? He had a tremendous arm, but he got the yips. You know what the yips are?
No.
Can't perform a normal function. You remember Steve Sachs at second base?
Yes.
Chuck Knobloch.
He just couldn't throw. He couldn't.
Mackie Sasser. He's a catcher. He couldn't throw the ball back to the pitcher. He would do this right here.
Yeah,
Rick Ankiel.
It's a guy. He loses. He just couldn't. He couldn't throw the ball over the plate. He went back to the minors in Boston. He was averaging like over a walk per inning. Like his numbers were crazy. Eventually, he retired, got out of baseball because he couldn't pitch. He had the mental hurdle. Well, he figured it out. Went back to the minors, and last year did a great job for Colorado. Well, he's been terrible at spring training. He's lost his command. And the day before the season started, he went on the injured list due to anxiety.
And so what I said isn't hyperbole.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to end Karinchak's career.
No.
I had a long conversation with James about this at spring training. And I got to tell you, of all the players, and they all dismiss this, every last one of them, and I think they've been told by their managers, look, don't bitch about it. It's not going to change.
Right.
So I think that they all wanted to have the unified message. It's good for the game. It speeds it up. Once we get used to this will be routine. Of all the players, hitters and pitchers that talked to me about it, Karinchak was perhaps the most dismissive of it.
Like he didn't care.
He's like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
I go, James, you're ritual. You're fidgety.
Yeah.
You take time between pitches.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I don't need to do it. I did it because I could, but I don't
still
need
did
to.
it.
Last night, it looked like he very much needed it. At one point, Zunino, very smartly, called a timeout so he could go out and talk to his pitcher and tell him, because he was about to take a second ball.
Yes, he was.
He went out and talked to him and said, look, bro, slow it down. Now, here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
You always hear the greats, Jordan, Brady, all of the greats at all the levels. They say, well, when did you figure it out? When I was able to slow it down in my head. Things were going 180 miles an hour. We've all been in that situation, whether it's getting up in public and giving a speech, if that's your thing that you hate to do. When you're done, you sit down and you're like, wow, I don't even remember. That was just a blur. Well, the pros, the best of the best, have the ability to mentally slam on the brakes and just slow things down. You could see him gripping with every single pitch.
Absolutely.
I felt terrible for him.
His body language, Mike Polk.
Oh, jeez.
Karinchak's dream tonight.
That's kind of funny.
That is good. Karinchak, and first, two things here. His body language out there was terrible.
It was.
He looked, and his breaking ball, he could not command it at all.
And, well, that's why I would have taken him out. I mentioned before I would have taken him out. It made it sound like I would have taken him out because I didn't want to see him melt down.
Right.
That was part of it. He became a one-pitch pitcher.
Right.
And when you do that, it's over. That happened in the White Sox game, too, by the way. The White Sox and the Astros game.
Yes.
When a pitcher is struggling to command one of his 2+ pitches, it's over for that pitcher.
That's right. Eventually in that, especially when France was up, who hit the home run.
Yes.
He was only looking fastball.
That was
he
it.
He was gonna piss on anything else.
Yeah, and he did.
That was it.
They had the discipline to spit on everything.
Yes. This is if you listen to any Guardians loss, this is exactly what it sounds like. Because we ain't even got to the sticks yet. This is all
I'm
pitching.
overreacting to the sticks.
Let's more overreaction. By the way, I'm not overreacting to anything, but and it's one game. But go ahead, Mikey.
By the way, Brash was struggling with his slider. If he wasn't throwing that for strikes,
but they were swinging at it,
and the Guardians were chasing it. And I'm like,
he spun himself into the ground, fell on his ass.
That was the snapshot of the game last night. If it wasn't Karinchak,
it was Jose
drilling himself into the ground.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they kept swinging at the slider. He wasn't throwing it for strikes.
No.
And Manning, I thought astutely pointed out, Don't swing at it.
I know.
It's so good. Even if you swing at it, you're going to miss.
And they're a disciplined team, as you expect that.
Supposedly, they weren't last night.
And then Seawald and Munoz were lights out. Both of those guys.
They've got a great bullpen.
Yeah.
They do.
G.
All
Bush,
right.
you get to react to my overreaction first here. Steve, take it. The Guardians lineup is trash. They may not score a single run all season long.
I'm not gonna say the Guardians lineup is trash, but I'm gonna tell you what. This is the same broken record I said last year. And it's not about the Guardians. I know people love to talk about the pitching and guys and look at the minutia of every pitch thrown. But the reality of it is this is if the Guardians don't have power, this is the new age. You can't string together 5 to 10 hits in a row to get singles. How did they take
Well,
the
they did
L?
it last year, won 92 games.
Well, guess what? They did not go past the first round.
No, they did go past the first round.
I mean, they didn't.
They lost to the Yankees.
They lost to the
in the
Yankees.
I mean,
DS.
the Mets and Dodgers lost in the first round, and they have a ton of power. So
But the bottom line is you
Yeah.
can't. You know me. It's championship.
Yeah.
Can they win a championship?
Yes.
Stringing singles together.
Yeah,
Well,
they
here's
can.
the thing.
Wins?
Well,
We don't
they're
even
going to
know.
hit more home runs
they
this
are
year
going to
than they
hit
did
more
last
runs.
year.
It's one
Hopefully.
game. The hitting was terrible yesterday.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it was
Let's
bad.
give credit to the other team.
I want
Great pitcher.
to because their pitcher was lights out.
was nasty,
He had his
Castillo.
A game. Bieber did not.
No.
Last night, Bieber's 6-inning stretch was all guts.
No, he had a lot of deep counts.
He had four of the 6 innings. He had a runner hit third base.
Yeah.
He gave up a base hit in every one of the 6 innings. He was not overpowering. He only struck out 3, but he did what he does.
Oh.
He didn't walk anybody.
No.
He got key outs when he needed them.
Yeah.
I love that for him. I much rather would have had that performance than Castillo because Castillo was a steamroller.
You see,
But Bieber showed guts in pitching out of some real
Yeah,
jams.
Bieber pitched well. Castillo was lights out. Completely lights
He
out.
was Cy Young-esque.
you see how we pivoted? Y'all be proving my point.
We'll go back to the
You
hitting.
just went right to the pitching again.
The hitting sucked. I mean, it was one game.
Listen, here's what you're gonna have to find out.
Yeah.
The Seattle Mariners run because guess what? They got a 3-run homer.
Yeah.
That's how you win. If you think when they got up in the ninth and got 2 hits, I said, yo, it's too late for all that. You got it. Their power numbers.
Josh Bell.
Their power numbers
Yeah,
have to
I
be
think
better.
their power numbers will be better. For one day, they sucked.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
lineup sucked.
I don't even make a reaction over 5 games. Show me a 10-game stretch where the whole team is slumping. That's a problem. Because baseball is a game of slumps. You'll see that stretches, there were stretches last year where Miles Straw hit over 400. He finished 221.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
going to have hot streaks. You're going to have cold streaks. It's the first game of the season. You know this, Bull. Didn't always show up yesterday, though. Usually, pitching is way ahead of hitting to start the season.
There was a lot of games with offense. But
I know it was weird. Yesterday there was a
wasn't
lot
one
of
of
offense for it. But the old saying goes, pitching is way ahead of hitting this part of the season. I'm not worried about the Guardians hitting. They will hit. It's just yesterday was a bad.
We have a football
look.
mentality in this town. It's such a football town that one game means so much in football. And it's a fine line to walk because you're excited about opening day and you want people to care about the Guardians. So you don't want to say, go F yourself if you overreact to one game because you want people to be passionate and care. But you got to have a balance.
Traditionally, the Guardians are not very good on open day.
It's a marathon.
They've been terrible on opening
It's
day.
a marathon, and the starting gun just went off.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the only thing the Browns and Guardians have in common is they're both bad on opening day.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that, it changes.
What do you got, Mike?
2 more. Overreaction number 4. Take it, Steve. SpongeBob is dead. Oscar Gonzalez was just a one-hit wonder.
No, yeah, that's
I
an
was at
overreaction.
first a little surprised that Will Brennan was in the starting
Yeah,
lineup.
Why was he
I
playing?
was surprised by it, but Tito. Here was my concern.
Yeah.
Oscar Gonzalez, you don't want to ding his confidence.
No, but what they said, it was interesting.
Brennan earned it.
Well, he did, but what they also said on the broadcast, which I hadn't really thought about when they were starting him, is that they're in this first 10 games against the Mariners and A's, they're facing a lot of lefties.
Right.
And so they wanted to get Brennan some at-bats.
Yeah.
Again, especially it's a really tough righty because Oscar Gonzalez
Oh, come
against
on.
lefties.
Well, no, that happens a lot, though.
I get it, but if you're a hitter, if you're supposed to be one of the main guys, and you come out of spring training and they already talking about platooning you, and you
I don't
No,
know
it's
that
not a
they're platooning
platoon.
him.
It's not a platoon.
And by the way, Will Brennan was a bigger prospect than Oscar Gonzalez.
was, and
So-
had the first base hit last night.
Yeah.
and looked good at the plate.
At the end of the year,
Yeah.
last year, you can't tell me Will Brennan was more of a better prospect than Gonzalez.
No, Gonzalez.
Well, Gonzalez had performed in the majors.
He was
Brennan
the
hadn't
hero.
really been up.
Yes.
He
but
ended up being the hero.
I
was
hear
a
you.
little surprised that I thought maybe he'd pinch hit for him in a spot. Of course, they never really had a spot until there were 2 outs in the ninth, and
Yeah.
you're not going to pinch hit in that spot.
No, not for
But
Josh Bell.
I don't think it's anything to be concerned. I think it says a bunch of things. It says that the Guardians, and particularly Tito, love Will Brennan.
It's more about Will Brennan than it is about
I
not
agree.
trusting Oscar.
Yeah,
It's,
I agree.
You know,
Now,
Oscar being there today.
Will Oscar take that? Will Oscar feel that? Because you got to think about it. He's coming off of spring training when he wasn't batting well.
Yeah,
and so then you come into the season, it's like, okay, well, they got Will. Will's doing his thing. If he's not in the lineup as a young guy, is that going to mess with his
Maybe
psyche?
Tito wants to see him step up and answer the bell and go 3 for 4 today.
If he can't handle being on the bench for one game, he's never going to make it in the big leagues.
And what is baseball? It's a competition.
That's right.
It's fine that there's
That's
a little
right.
competition for those at-bats from
Yeah.
the right field spot.
Let's go.
Let's see what you got.
Let's do it
Last
today.
night, Will stepped up and got a base hit.
Yeah.
What are you going to do today?
Right, and they're facing a lefty, Robbie
Right.
Ray. He's a tough
Yeah.
lefty, really good.
He is a good lefty.
Yeah.
But, Oscar, I want to see plate discipline out
Yeah,
of him.
absolutely.
That's what we'll be watching for during his at-bats. What's
By
your
the way,
last
another former
overreaction?
Guardians prospect, Will Benson, started for the Reds yesterday, went 0
Yeah,
for 4 with
yeah.
4 strikeouts.
So,
one game, but
Good move by the Guardians, right?
Listen,
That's
Oscar should
overreact.
come on UCSS like Will did, and maybe he gets his
get
groove
some good
back.
luck.
and
Will has a
confidence.
lot of UCSS karma.
I know. And this last overreaction, by the way, has a plus a million line that you guys are going to disagree with me, and that line can be found on BetJack. The time is now, Ohio sports fans. Sports betting is live. You can download the BetJack app today, so you'll be ready to go in on all the action. BetJack, it is Ohio's sportsbook. And Steve, take my last overreaction. Shane Bieber's a terrible teammate, and that's why his teammates purposely choose to never score runs when he's on the mound. It is sabotage. Tell me I'm wrong.
I love that. I agree with that completely.
I
That's
don't
funny.
even dignify that.
That is a funny one.
I can't even
I
dignify
had to.
that.
I had to.
Yeah.
Obviously not true, but
Once again,
Bieber is beloved in that
once
clubhouse.
again showing how useless the win stat is for a pitcher. I completely ignore it. Shane Bieber pitched great, doesn't get a win. You had
Well,
Shohei
look at Cease. Look at Cease last night.
Dylan Cease, right?
He was
Lights out.
unbelievable.
Shohei Ohtani, great.
Ohtani pitched
doesn't
great.
get a win.
No
By the
decision.
way, in that Yankees-Giants game, first time ever, third time ever that you've had 2 opening day pitchers with 10 or more strikeouts. Only the third time in the history of baseball.
are you
And
serious?
I imagine one of the other 2 was
Yeah.
within the last 5 years
That is correct.
because it's
I
now
can't
a
remember the
strikeout
game, but it was in the last few
Yeah.
years.
How about Aaron Judge?
First at bat.
Boom.
He's good.
Yeah,
61 to go.
Yes.
He's crazy.
It was just, I thought it was a great opening day for
I did
baseball.
too. Yeah,
a lot of
I
good
did too.
games, a lot of energy in the crowds, the speed of the game.
of
Watching
the game
these
is-
games, man, I watched the Cubs Brewers in the afternoon. That game was 2:14.
Yeah.
And then the Guardians game.
That was the fastest game, I think, wasn't it? Or
second.
was there 209?
I think the Tigers game was like 2:04.
Yeah, I did see one that was in the 2
I mean, it's all there was a few games that went over 3 hours, but they were all like the 10-9 games.
Right.
If you play 10, usually in the past the 10-9 game is 4 hours.
I know what I wanted to ask you. What did you think about Roger Clemens in the booth?
I did not hear that. In what booth?
I thought he was
in the
pretty
Astros.
good.
Yeah, he was on the Astros White Sox call.
I did not. I didn't. That was one game I didn't watch.
Oh wow, first of all, it was a great game.
Good game.
It was
wow.
a pitcher's duel.
Was
Both
he
those
good?
guys. He was tremendous.
I did not
A
see
little
that game.
clunky on the broadcast stuff.
Yeah.
You know what you would expect.
Sure.
But his insight was unbelievable. He was a little Tony Romo-esque in calling pitches.
Oh, interesting.
Which, if you think about it, we've never really had that guy. We've had
Never.
the guy that will second guess the pitch that was just thrown. I mean, Tim McCarver, I can't believe he just threw
right.
a curveball. Well, then say before the pitch is thrown,
Right.
the one thing he's not going to see here is a breaking ball.
Right.
Roger was saying, he talked a lot about, and Roger did this as well as anyone,
Yeah.
changing your eye level.
Is he going to be on every game?
He's on the ESPN cruise. So,
Oh.
he was with
okay.
Ravi and Eduardo Perez. I
Yeah.
thought that team was really good.
Well, I'll have to watch next time he was on. 'cause
Yeah,
I'm
and let me
fascinated
know
to
what
hear
you
it.
think of him. Don't
Yeah.
judge him on the broadcast, on the machinations
just
of being a
calling,
broadcaster.
like, the
Just
insight.
his insight.
I am curious to hear
He
that.
was really good.
Because he was
really
kind of persona non grata there for a while.
He was, you're exactly right. No one wanted to touch him because he was steroid user and blah, blah, blah. But I think what he brings to the telecast, and I think ESPN smartly waited until there was enough time.
Yeah.
I think it's been long enough now. A-Rod's on, on
nobody cares
some
anymore.
big calls.
Yeah.
So I think that now they've realized, and I think he's going to be a star at it simply because it's in the playoffs, it's all about pitching. All about pitch. Like, what is the pitcher going to throw? And he astutely was saying, I'd come back with another splitter here.
Yeah.
And boom, the pitcher throws
time.
a splitter. It was almost, at one point, Ravi joked, we have, the telecom, the pitchcom. He's like, it almost seems like they have a line to Roger in the booth, and they're hearing what he would call, and they're throwing it.
You know what's so fascinating is that we get on Tony Romo for calling out every play, and they said, I hate when you try to predict the play, but in baseball, people like it.
We liked it at first.
Yeah, it
when
became
Tony
too
first
much
started
with
doing
Tony.
that. My problem with Tony Romo, more than the calling of plays, is that he feels like he's unprepared for the games.
And that he's perhaps a little too fanish.
Yes, definitely.
Like before the Super Bowl, he's like, I can't believe this. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony played 55 of these before.
But I don't know. It was a great day.
I don't have, y'all got to what we call the golden ear. I can't tell the difference between these guys.
Well, we probably aren't overly critical.
By the way, I'll tell you.
You call it.
I hate to say this because he's such a nice guy, but man, when I left here, I put the Yankees, who are they playing? The Giants game on the radio.
Yeah.
Sterling.
Man, listening to Sterling.
It's tough.
It's time.
He and Susan are.
Yeah,
I mean, it's painful.
It's amazing because the Yankees are an
New York,
organization
for crying
known
out
for
loud.
doing the best. They want the best of everything.
Yeah.
They have the worst broadcast.
A lot of Yankee fans like him, but
it's tradition now. You know how you always call. You protect yours.
Yeah. It's painful.
It's a tough listen.
Painful to listen to.
I got a question for you guys before we do 5 minutes on tonight's Guardians game real quick. Hunter Gaddis versus Robbie Ray. But listening to the games yesterday as fast as they were, from a radio standpoint, listen to a little bit of Tom Hamilton's call.
Yeah.
They're going to have to change their pacing. Like, it's a different.
Oh, they've already.
100%.
It's like a different sport for them.
In particular, that was something from the. I'm glad you said that because in the Yankee-Giant game, like especially the big market teams that have 1,000 sponsors to read.
Right.
Like on the Yankee broadcast, it's on the Fan in New York.
Everything is bright. This
Everything
first pitch
has
is
a
brought to you
sponsor.
by the Wiz.
And Susan and John is kind of a slow talker anyway.
Kinda.
And Susan's got to jump in with those reads. Like
it's tough.
It's
tough.
She got cut off a bunch of times.
Even Hammy was a little you could tell Hammy felt like he was on a treadmill going a little too fast.
Yeah.
Think about it. He's done this for over 25 years.
Right.
He's got a cadence and a rhythm that he likes to follow too. And now he's got to speed everything
you got to change
up.
it. But I think everybody's going to love it. I think baseball, which I've been critical of, and they still are doing a crappy job of getting fans the ability to watch the game. If you have YouTube TV, if you have Dish, if you have the Bally Sports app, you can't watch the game.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. It has to be fixed. But I do think this is going to attract young fans. Think about it. Most years, if you have one game on a day that's less than 2 hours and 30 minutes,
that's rare.
That's huge. Rare.
Yeah, rare.
There were 6 under 2:30.
It's nuts.
That is going to make a huge difference.
It will.
And the pace, just like there's so much more. It feels like there's more energy in the game.
Yeah.
But based on that, Bo, I have a question, and I was thinking big picture here.
Yeah.
So we obviously cut the game down. I think 27 minutes was the average time. It was shorter than last year. Are the owners now going to get mad that there's half an hour less time for people to buy beer? And
not if more people come.
So you think it ends up equating out to more money in the long run on that?
So the mathematical equation is this. If you increase attendance by 10%, and they all still consume the same amount of concessions that they did before, you're making more money. Because the game, you're not cutting, you're cutting a half hour out of the game.
Right.
Which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But I think more people are willing to say on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, hey, let's go down to the park and watch the game.
Right.
Because it's not going to be a 4-hour hole anymore. And by 4 hours, I mean getting in the car, driving to the stadium, parking, walking to the game, watching the 3 hours, getting in your car and driving home. Yeah. That shoots your Saturday.
And the longer games are going to be higher scoring games, so you don't mind because it's going to be more exciting. Now the 3-hour game is going to be 10-9.
I think this is a part of a two-pronged program. Yes, you got the timing right. The reason why people didn't like watching baseball is the level of activity, scoring, and they say it's boring. Second one is it takes way too much time to do a game. You got the timing right. You picked the pace up. Now, find me some more scoring.
Well, there was. I bet you, I don't know what the comparison was to last year, but
It
I
felt
bet,
like more runs
I
than
bet
last
you,
year.
Obviously, the Guardians, the two games I watched completely, the Brewers Cubs and the Guardians Mariners, there was only a total of 7 runs in those 2 games.
Yeah.
But many of the other games were high scoring.
One other point, this would probably be an overreaction because it's a small sample size of one game. I wasn't impressed with Zunino behind the plate.
No, he had a rough day.
He took it on the
2
chin.
wild pitches. Like, they were wild pitches, but, like, you got to knock them.
Balls that he could have got in front of and stopped. The
I'll give him a
ball
little
in the
time.
dirt's
It's
tough.
a first-time coach.
Yeah, but his throw to second base,
Not good.
The release wasn't quick.
No.
The throw was off.
Yeah, but he has a reputation as a great defender.
I know he does.
You know, maybe he's, who knows?
Yeah, but
Adjusting to a new team.
Through one game, it wasn't great.
You got to lean toward. I mean, if you're picking the game tonight, you got to lean towards the Mariners with the big edge in the pitching matchup.
I definitely am leaning towards the Mariners.
And that was my last question. Let's
Yeah.
pick a winner tonight. Do the Guardians even themselves out at 1-1, or do they fall into an 0-2 start to the season?
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
they're
listen,
0-2.
it's baseball, so you
don't
never know.
Yeah, you don't know.
But this guy's barely pitched in the big leagues. Hunter Gaddis, Robbie Ray is a seasoned quality. He's not a superstar, but he's a high quality tier 2 pitcher, and they're at home. We'll see. I don't know. You got to lean towards the Mariners.
I think Seattle tonight, they're playing with house money.
Is this a four game
4-game series.
Then they go to Oakland for 3.
Yeah.
Then they come here and get Seattle 3 more times.
Yeah.
I don't like that. You're playing
Well, the
Seattle
schedule's
7
weird.
times in the first 10 games.
What I don't like is there's only 5 games in baseball today and no day games.
Yeah, well, that's common to have that. A lot of teams get breaks in between opening day and game 2.
I understand that because of the rain out, but like the Rangers are at home. Why are they not playing today?
Yeah, that did
Like,
seem odd.
What's the odds of bad weather there?
And
Like,
I think there should be an afternoon game.
Yes.
In the first week of baseball, you should have an afternoon game featured every day.
in fact, 4 of the 5 games today start at 8, 10, or later Eastern, including 3 at 9:40 or later.
That's not good.
That sucks.
Go ahead, Mike.
We have a super chat real quick, and Jay, I'm going to ask you to explain this for us because it's directed at you. Whenever we read super chats, as you guys know, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We will pivot to the Browns after this, Jay, but Phil Bowman says, Jay, very quickly, can you explain to me the new rules regarding relief pitchers?
There are no new rules.
I think it's all pitchers, but just real quick, for anyone who hasn't been following,
There are no new rules.
the new rule updates for pitchers. You can only step off twice. There's a pitch clock.
Oh, yeah, but that's for all pitchers. So
I
obviously
think
the
all
pitch
pitchers.
clock
It just happened to Karinchak yesterday.
Okay, with nobody on base, you're allowed 15 seconds between pitches. That means when the ball is thrown back to the pitcher, the clock starts. You have 15 seconds. With a runner on base, you have 20 seconds. You're only allowed 2 disengagements per at bat. I didn't really see that become an issue at all.
By the way,
yesterday.
I thought there was an interesting part of that I don't know that I realized until yesterday. We were saying that you can only throw to first 2 times. That's actually not true.
No, it's disengagements. 2 disengagements. You can come off the rubber twice.
No, you could throw to first more than 2 times.
Yeah, you can, but you got to get him.
On the 3rd time, you have to get him, otherwise it's a balk.
Yeah, no, that was the way. Yeah,
Right.
No, that
I didn't realize. I was thinking you couldn't throw over a 3rd time.
No, because then
then you'd be really
the runner
screwed.
could stand
Right.
halfway between first
Right,
and
right,
second.
right. Yeah.
You know, he could just walk to second base.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And there was a situation.
Karinchak got caught up where he threw over twice.
Yeah, in the Cubs-Brewers game,
and
it
he
happened
did that
also.
for one reason. He was
Yeah.
running out of time.
I know.
He was trying to slow things down.
Some people are not going to like that.
It's fact, man.
Yo.
And I know I already saw one
And
person.
by the way, the runner ran on the next pitch.
I
So
love
it was a full count.
I love
that.
it. I'm with you. I love the new pressure on these guys.
Now,
most guys will adjust. Some won't.
When Karinchak first threw over, I thought, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Then I realized, it's a full count. He knew the runner was going. It was actually smart to throw over.
Right, because
he
could catch
knows
him.
the runner's going to go. You hope that he's leaning and you
Right.
get him hung up.
That's right.
So I
That's
didn't
right.
mind that he did that at all because you knew he was going to run on the next pitch anyhow.
And
it was a full count.
By the way, in the Mets-Marlins game, they called an automatic strike on Jeff McNeil, the hitter, because Pete Alonso took too long to get back to first base.
Oh,
I didn't see that.
I saw
I didn't-
that.
I didn't
which
see
is
that.
crazy. I didn't even know that was part
I
of
didn't know
it.
that was part of it
Yeah.
either. You know, Tito brought up there were no cameras, but it was just a conversational thing with the reporters. He had an interesting point. He's like, what I don't like on the restart rule is after the out is made, the clock starts. But what happens on the play where the catcher's backing up first base? He's got to come all the way back to home plate and get set, and he just ran 90 feet.
I never noticed that as an issue yesterday, but
it will become an issue at some point.
They may have to clean up a couple of things, but so far, I love it.
And basketball, you got to get back on defense.
Be quick, let's go. I like that the batters weren't stepping out really in the box.
Right. The last point I want to make on this is I have no idea how this is the case. Absolutely none. It's unbelievable to me. I'm not going to say it changed the outcome of the game last night, but it definitely changed what happened in the 9th inning after the call. The fact that a foul tip is not reviewable blows my mind.
I don't know how baseball has not fixed that.
It blows my mind because last night what should have been another 3-2 pitch to a hitter instead left a runner on base, and the meltdown was underway.
And my final word is I don't know how all the other umpires missed it also.